What is up, sports fans? We are back. We are back for another episode of The Fan and the End. I'm your host, as always, Steven Rychel. To the right of me, the man on the mic himself, Mr. Marvin Powell III. And below is the big man, as always, Mr. Ben Troupe. Fellas, how are we feeling today, my friends?
Blessed, happy to be here.
Facts, man. Another day above ground, man. You know how it goes. I thank God for it. Let's do it.
Yeah, man. We always have fun. We have our serious moments here on the show. Again, I'm gonna keep telling everyone, if you guys haven't checked it out, go check out that George Vescar interview. I think has to be one of our best ones. I mean, dude, I don't even think we spoke for like almost an hour. George was just telling us.
Man, had a lot to say, man. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, he was a great guest, man. Gave us a lot of insight, educated the viewers, educated me on some stuff, and I appreciate his time. I know y'all do too.
Yeah, and hopefully when he gets everything straightened out with his book, we'll try to get him back on again, talk about the book a little bit more, and pick as much of brain as we can. I think that even the best part about it is like he was having issues when he was on, and working through that, and you see a unique side of things when people have those type of things, and he's a rare case. He's a rare father, human being, etc. So I'm always going to throw that out there. But with that being said, let's kick off today's episode. And as always, guys, this episode is brought to you by Fight Wax. Fight Wax is the ultimate skincare defense for all your active lifestyles. Helps treats cuts, swelling, scrapes, and abrasions, rejuvenates and restores stress skin. Customers are used for soreness, stiffness, recovery, designed for athletes of all active lifestyles. Provides an ultra silky, non-greasy feel, deep hydration for everyday skin care. Helps fight dry skin. Customers used for eczema, psoriasis, and other skin disorders. I don't know if you've seen it. Somebody had like a nasty cut on their finger. They'd made a post the other day. They opted not to get stitches, and I'm gonna say right now, I'm not telling you guys not to go to the hospital and get stitches. You all got a hole, but less than 5 days after using the Fight Wax, no stitches. Everything's healed up, not nice and good. So I mean, I think there's multiple different uses for people who want to find some better skin care other than Vaseline, going to the ER, all that other stuff. I think that's a unique product that we're fortunate to be involved with. But let's kick things off and have some fun here today. And Marvin has brought up something about his time in New York and the Jets and stuff like that, and his dealing with the mob. And there's been several stories involving the New York Jets and the mob over the last, 20 years or so. So I came across this today, so I wanted to kind of kick things off with Marvin, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, this one, former mob figure Michael Franzini says that during the 80s, an unnamed Jets player was drawn into major gambling and then pressured to affecting games, according to a recent video recanting his experience around athletes and organized crime. Franzini's been making similar claims for years about organized crime being targeted and indebted with athletes, leading to influence outcomes of games spread since, this is back in like 2009. He told a sports integrity conference that bookmakers are tied to organized crime, would get athletes into debt, pressure them to help cover bets. Earlier in 2002, ESPN reported that Franzini had made separate anonymous allegations about baseball players fixing games with the New York Yankees. Obviously, publicly denied this. I'm going to start off with you, Marvin, because like I said, you have not like an intimate dealing with it, but that's your hometown. You've seen what the mob is capable of. What do you think about Michael's comments?
I think he's telling the truth 100%, without question. You have to understand, this is a time, you talk about like the late 70s, 80s, NFL players weren't making money like that. You know what I mean? They were, just put it in perspective. Right now, the highest paid offensive tackle is getting paid between 25 and 30 million dollars. When my dad was the highest paid lineman, he was getting paid a shade under a $500,000. You know what I'm saying? When he retired, the money went up times 4 because free agency kicked in and all that stuff. But a lot of these dudes, man, had second jobs. A lot of these dudes, wasn't making just that kind of money. It's just not what it is. I think today the NFL minimum is almost $1 million. I think they're over $700,000 already. Which is great. Which it should be. It should go up. But again, in a time when dudes wasn't making that kind of money, I think it was very real. I think even today, I think you got guys who do have gambling issues without question. These athletes are people. You know what I'm saying? Like they're people just like your neighbor, just like your cousin. They're people, and they have things that they want to get into and things that they like, good habits, bad habits. Yeah, no doubt that the mob absolutely, had a role in the outcome of some games. I don't know what player he's referring to. Based on some of the conversations I had with my dad, it could have been anybody. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he's telling the truth, man. People don't want to hear that, because in sports, we want to think sports is, void of all the BS and all that. But the unfortunate reality is, there was a time when, betting and the mob had a lot to do with the outcome of games. I think today, the way they make gambling so easy, and they advertise it, and they put it in your brain, I think you got really competitive people who have some money. And even, and it wouldn't shock me, if we saw more names come out, whether it's NFL, NBA, Major League, soccer, whatever it may be. These are people, just like everybody else so yeah, man, I think what he's telling is the truth, 100%. I know it's real. What you're referring to, Steve, in regards to me was when my dad was the president of the union and he led the strike, and the players weren't playing, that impacted the lines and people wasn't betting and the mob was losing money on that because that's a big part of how they make their money. And they absolutely tried an intimidation factor with my family, parking a car outside of our house with the windows up, Lincoln, the whole Lincoln Continental, I think it was, or town car, shaded windows at the time. And they was out there just trying to lean on my dad in this strike, so they can get back to making their money. So yeah, they do that kind of stuff. They, and I can imagine for other people it was much worse, But yeah, I think everything he's saying is real in regards to their influence, especially at a certain time.
What are your thoughts, Ben? Were players fixing games in the 80s up until the early to mid 2000s?
Absolutely, and it's gonna take the right name for it to come out. It's gonna have to be a name that resonates not just throughout sports for us to say who it was. I remember this goes back to when the ref and the NBA was doing it, and people like, ain't no way he was doing it. He figured did a Netflix special talking about how he was doing it. This goes deeper than that. I remember when I first started playing football in Swainsboro, Georgia, and I didn't know what gambling was, and my uncle said, "Hey, I need 3 touchdowns today." Now I don't know what he's talking about. Then after one game, he gave me like $5. I'm like, I'm 7, 8 years old. I'm like, what? Then one game he gave me $20. Now, mind you, my little young mind don't know what he's doing, but I'm trying to do what he has. And it got to the point where he's counting the money. This is Pop Warner football. And for those of you who don't know, South Florida, Miami, Uncle Luke, those football leagues, they got a documentary on how much money be exchanging hands for now that's amateur football now. You got to think. Somebody said, we can dictate games with money. No, we can't. Yeah, we can too. We just got to know who to tell. And next thing you know, and the mob is saying, all right, we can do that. We're doing it. We're doing it. And it don't shock me one bit. I think the NFL knows, man, once this comes out, it's gonna be crazy now. And this is the one thing that makes anything come out with the NFL. Yeah, can we survive it? If they can survive it, they'll let it come out. That's why Concussion, the movie, came out because the NFL says we'll give it 72 hours to, go around, and then we're gonna give something bigger to supersede it. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Any major city team, Chicago, the Jets, the Giants, the Eagles, the 49ers, the Bears, and let me say this, because we talk about the mob here now. I've only seen the mob on movies. I know they're not fictitious characters. I know they are living, breathing, people. But on that movie American Gangster with Denzel Washington, there was a part in the movie when he goes to one of the mob bosses' house. Now Denzel making all the money, and they saying, "Hey Denzel, you kind of like pushing us out. Hey man, I ain't got to do with what y'all do." He like, "Yeah, you kind of do. So what you want us to do? I want you to play nice. What you want me to do? I want you to kind of back up something." Oh, hey man, listen man, I know this y'all game, but I'm just doing it my way. They got him out the way. However, they got him out the way. They got him out the way. And all I'm saying is, when it comes to football, for those people that's saying, I would never, ever fix games. You don't know. Let me say this. You don't know what you would do when presented with it. I am not, look, and I mean
What's
it.
up, Meg?
I am not going to throw my, listen, I am not going to throw my teammate under the bus because I got dirt too. But when I was in college, going into my senior year, there was a teammate of mine who I will not name. You know who he is. I know who he is. And just know he's a big money. He's a big-time player. Big-time player. I'm going into my senior year. He's back on campus. You know how we do, Marv. We'll come back on. You'll come back on campus. Well, a place like SC, y'all probably come back because it's LA. Y'all come back. Gainesville ain't the place you're going to hang out if you don't got to. That's all I'm saying. He came back on campus. We getting ready to do a workout. He said, "What's up, Troupe?" I said, "What's up, boy?" Listen, I kind of shake his hand and he hold my hand. He kind of let everybody walk by. He said, "Troupe, man, he said, I'll take care of you next year, man. What you mean?" He said, "I'm going to need you to do some things for me during the game. Now, mind you, I don't even know how my senior year going to be. This is my first time starting. This is when I'm realizing, hey, man, I might be getting ready for some big-time stuff just based on how people treating me. But this is what he said. He said, "I need you to do some things for me." He said, "But your soul belongs to me." This is what he said to me. I'm like, "What?" "Your soul belongs to me." Now, mind you, I'm 20 years old. I'm like, now this is the thing. Not saying I would have done it. I would have considered it, and I'm a tight end. I don't dictate that much. But when he said, "What you mean my soul?" No, I'm good. Like I'm not, I don't even know what that is. But you a country boy like me, what the hell you know about souls being, no, bro, we ain't doing that. And I say that to say, if you are in a position of power, aka you got that moolah to burn, you can spend $1 million a day and you won't feel it. That's $365 million in a year for those you don't know. Just imagine when I can spend $10 million a day, $20 million a day. You don't think people are going to be considering? You want me to do what? I want you to throw a pick in the fourth quarter. And I get what? Because it's hard to detect now. It's going to be hard to pick up what's going on, especially with some of these quarterbacks. I mean, some of them might be getting paid. I'm just saying how they be playing. But I'm not surprised. I'm just waiting to see who it was. And when it comes out who it was, I'm not going to jump all over them. Because remember, the mob don't ask, there ain't many Marvin Powells in the world that's convicted like that. But he had a whole league he had to answer to too now. That's different. So he's saying, "Hey man, I know y'all powerful, but I got a bunch of alpha men that I got to see about." And I'm thinking about my son going to the league one day. I'm thinking about future players that I'll never meet. Now that's a strong-willed and minded individual. I know people would have done it for way less. I'm talking about depending on, because we're going to shoot you $100 million. And all I got to do is this. Yeah. You think that's all you got to do. That's the first thing you got to do. But
once they got you.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because like Marvin just said, listen, you want something to be perfect, people better not be involved in it. The only way it can be perfect is people not involved. If people are involved, you can take perfection out. That's anything. That's business, that's parenting, that's marriage, that's church. If people are involved, I'm not saying corruption is right behind it, but I'm saying malpractice is something finna go bad because we all don't think alike. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Just ask football players, 53 guys on the NFL football team, we about as different as they come. Now, we come together on that field, and some of us watch tape and some of us don't. Some of us take care of ourselves and some of us don't. Some of us go to the club and say, I play for the Titans, right? And some of us don't. And I'm not mad either way, but if we get approached at 20-something years old with a dude in a nice suit talking about, "Hey, man, good game last week. Yeah, man, appreciate it. Listen, how much they paying you?" They'll say, "What you making, what, $750K? Yeah, what if I give you $750K right now? You gonna give me my whole salary right now?" "Yeah, but before you take the money, I got to get you to do something." "What?" And as soon as you say yeah, and you take that money, and they drive off. You want the contract, baby. They got you. So hey, I'm happy I wasn't good enough of a player like that. I was in Nashville and Tampa and the Raiders. I wasn't in big so hey man, but I ain't mad at you if you did take the money. Just know Netflix is out there. And they will real quick to tell that story. And Netflix got my money too. They'll get you to talk. And how much they gave you?
Yeah.
Hey, oh man, we give you $3 million. Cause when Florida did Swamp Kings, when they did the University of Florida did it with Urban Meyer, you notice you didn't see a lot of players on there, right? Everybody ain't take the money. Yeah. And I know this 100%. There were certain players that wanted a bigger check, and they was like, Netflix is like, no, we already got dudes taking $50K. Why would I give you $500K? What you think you is, Tim Tebow? You know, so hey, that was so. I mean, I wasn't on them teams. They could have gave me a couple of to make up some stories. You know what I'm saying?
Now, Ben obviously knows who Meg is. Marvin's probably the first time meeting her, but Meg's from the other side of the pond. One of our football fans from over there, content creator. So first off, appreciate your time today, my friend.
No, thanks for having me back. Appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure. We always want to talk to everyone, get everyone's insight, and with all that's going on in the football world, I think different opinions today is definitely going to be the topic of the day.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll get into some of the craziness in a minute, but we always talk about mental health, but I don't know if you guys seen through the owners meeting that they did approve and mandate that teams employ a full-time mental health clinics for the teams. I'll start off with Marvin on this one. How happy are you to hear that?
Yeah, any type of advancement toward player mental health, player help, player awareness, I'll take that. That's a good thing. I would want to hear more what that really includes. It sounds good on the surface, and I'm sure there will be a true benefit, but I want to know, what does that really detail? What's really involved there? But yeah, it's definitely the first step, a right step, toward acknowledging mental health and just, spreading that amongst men and having men really understand that you could be a grown man and still be going through some stuff upstairs. You know what I'm saying? That just makes you human. That's it. It don't make you weak. It makes you human. So with that said, yeah, I love it. Interesting to see how that kind of theme rolls into the new CBA coming up here. But yeah, it's a great first step. I hope it's not just, something that sounds cool but there's not real impact. I hope that the players aren't. I hope that the organizations obviously are maintaining real integrity and not making it a point to share people's private information on that. I know you have HIPAA and those kind of laws, but man, these owners, man, they don't. You can't trust them. So yeah, I like it. I'm happy about it, and hopefully it's just a step toward much bigger things to come.
Meg, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of conversation around mental health for a long time, and unfortunately for everyone in the world, there's no quick cure for mental health issues. It's not a case of pop a pill and you're fine. It recurs and recurs, and we see these situations where somebody makes a mistake, they're crucified publicly, especially when they're in the public eye, and the impact on mental health is enormous. Now, I think it's definitely a step in the right direction to have trained mental health counsellors, doctors, etc. on site, but I think this is just a step. There needs to be so much more done in terms of media perception, in terms of how we report on things. And I know there's laws in the background and things, and obviously it's important to get accurate news out and to be sharing proper information. However, I do think some of the public crucifixions have off-field repercussions as well as on-field. When you see these players who are time and time again, when we spoke last time about the amount of crime that is being committed and the amount of drink and drug offences that are being committed, and there has to be an underlying root cause for that. And I don't accept. I accept human error, of course, but I don't accept that that's the sole reason that particularly these athletes are spotlighted constantly for the mistakes that they make, and it could be something really minor, or it could be something much more serious. But where's the aftercare then? So you've made a mistake. That's it's a mistake, or you've committed a crime. But there has to be some sort of process for recovery afterwards. There has to be, even prisons have terms of, it's redemption. It's been able to move forward, being able to rehabilitate and get past it. And unfortunately, I think there's so many steps missing in that process, especially for these players who are catapulted into the spotlight from a very, very young age. They're early 20s, and all of a sudden they've got all eyes on them. They're living out the life of a normal 20-year-old, except a normal 20-year-old who gets stopped for drink driving is not going to be put all over the front page of a newspaper unless, something horrendous happens. These players are not necessarily being equipped, I think, from a young enough age to deal with not just the athletic side of their careers, but also the media perceptions, the media spotlight that's put on them. And I do think that all of these steps have to come together with the mental health facilities that are being put in place.
Ben, your thoughts on this one, brother?
Yeah, I like it from a standpoint of, you got to see where a player is presently in his mind. Like, mental health don't got to be, hey, man, I think I'm going crazy. Man, just sit down with somebody just to check. It's like concussions. Okay, I got to get a concussion for you to see what are you comparing my test to? I didn't do a pre-examination, like how my mind was pre-concussion. It's just post. And I like this for this reason. A lot of these players getting ready to transition out of the league, and they don't really know what it's like leaving the NFL that it is coming in. You want to make sure, man, you taking care of yourself, because you come into the league with no family. You walk out with kids, wives, you know what I'm saying? You want to be taking care of yourself. So I do agree, the same way the NFL is advancing, they need to be saying, yeah, man, we got mandatory mental health checks for these players. Mandatory checkups. Because every time you see, and I think Meg hit it on the head too, every time you see a player do something, it's always something bigger going on. But we don't get to see that. We hear about, oh yeah, he was dealing with mental health struggles, 2 years after the incident. Whereas, so yeah, I do. The NFL ain't crazy, man. The NFL knows, hey man, we have to win in the perception battle. We have to win in saying if we don't care about the players, we got to look like we do. We got to look like we care about what's happening to them, because it is all about the product on the field. But if the product away from the field, mine is all messed up. Because being a 21-year-old in New York, where you in the media all the time, they talking about you all the time. New York Post, New York Daily, New York Times, all the time. You can't hide. How do you deal with that? And when people say, well, just don't listen. Well, now we got podcasts, social media, friends, family, critics, analysts. So, yeah, I think it's great. And hopefully and all you got to do to get a player to go is make it mandatory. That's it. Hey, we got mandatory mental health checkups. You got to go do it. But you're going to get fined until you go. All right, man, let's do it. And then let the mental health professional do what they do when you sit down in front of him or her. So, I mean, shout out to the NFL for at least trying to get this thing right. I do not know if you can get it right, but they should have had mental health clinicians that well before now. So hopefully the current players, the future players will benefit from this type of protocol. Hopefully it continues to move forward with it.
I think it's a little bit of what you've all touched on. Step in the right direction. There needs to be more than just having someone on site. We have to figure out exactly what this actually means. It's step one of many steps for the mental health awareness for our NFL athletes. So next topic here's one for you, Ben. So I don't know if you heard this, but Florida A&M will not be postseason eligible for this upcoming season that they failed to meet the academic and eligibility requirements. You know, we always talking about some of the great things that Dianna has done for the Colorado program. He may not have the wins, he may not have the playoff appearances, national championships, and all that, but all his players are top of their class and they're graduating. What do you think about the message that this now sends down to the Florida A&M players? Let me start with Ben on this one.
You want to know when people talk about power P5 or P4 football, that'll never happen. It makes it look like P4 programs, all their players going to class and they excel, and that's not true. It's the fact that Florida A&M, number one, they got to, for those of you who don't know, Florida A&M is in Tallahassee. It is literally right across the street from Florida State. It's two different worlds going on, though. Florida State, all brick. You know, we got everything we need. Florida A&M, you could just walk in the facility, walk straight to the head coach office, no security stopping you at the door, nobody checking you in, none of that. I'm not making excuses for Florida A&M. Let me say, I'm not making excuses for the Rattlers. But once again, it's more to it. It is way more to the – look, I was not a scholar athlete. I was an All-American. I was no academic All-American. How many academic All-Americans I knew? I don't know. Not many. We went to class, and I did what I had to do. But you don't think the professors knew who we were? Man. You know, one time I had a teammate. Not gonna say his name. He got a 100. He got a 100 in a class, and we never saw him. But he also was a big time player. You see, all I'm saying is, I'm not saying that the administrators and the professors at Florida A&M don't need to get on the program, but these other professors are. I guarantee. When the last time a big time quarterback, a big time receiver, defensive end, big time player was ineligible? You can't even remember, can you? Because that doesn't. When the last time a team, dude, you know how bad your GPA got to be for you to be ineligible as a team? As a whole team? Now, I'm not saying my GPA helped us at all when I was at Florida. I wasn't helping us. I didn't help us make, academic eligibility, but I wasn't hurting us either. I'm just saying something going on in Florida A&M, man. That's bad, man. Like, you get banned from postseason play when you did some nefarious stuff with the coaches and, recruiting, that kind of stuff. Dude, how bad are these grades, man? I don't think I've ever heard of this. I ain't never heard of a team because of academics. Number one, that hurts the HBCU umbrella. That's what it's hurting. It's HBCUs already get a bad rep to where they don't do the money right. They don't got enough funding. They don't got the right facilities. Don't. Florida A&M, FAMU, can't go to a bowl game. Why? Grades. For the team? Yeah. So, hey, man, something going to have to give. But like I say, these big-time schools, you know what they got first before anything else? Reputation, man. They ain't finna let that happen. Guess what? The professors, this happens in high school. High school teachers say, hey, man, coach go, hey, man, what he got? He got like a 69. You can't bump that up to a 75. Come on, man, we got so-and-so. This been going on since high school. So I don't know what's going on at fam. They ain't get the memo. Hey, man, y'all boys better do something because they had to report this for the world to see, man. And you check this out. And you know who the basketball coach is at FAMU? You know who the basketball coach is? Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward is the basketball coach at FAM. Heisman Trophy winner at Florida State, who went to the NBA, is at FAM, and all he get to do is watch regular season football games and watch how good FAM be in 2026. They're gonna be good for nothing. That's crazy. That's crazy.
What are your thoughts on this one, Meg? Florida A&M, academically ineligible.
So my day job is I'm a teacher. I teach high school. So for me, this was really interesting when I was reading up on this earlier. Because the kind of kids that I work with, I work in an area of extremely high poverty. These kids are not privileged in terms of being able to come from a home where they've all their needs are met to be able to come in and learn, right? But some of them are very, very athletic and very, very good sportsmen, and they've got high aspirations. Some of them want to get to the NBA. Some of them are making moves that, you know, on the court, on the field, etc., that academically has nothing to do with, you know, there's no correlation between their academic achievement and their sporting achievements. And I've always been a huge advocate that academics is not for everyone. Some people are naturally born academically gifted. I'm one of these people, and I'm very aware that it's a privilege. I came from a high poverty family, but I was smart, and I worked and worked and worked to make sure that I got to where I needed to be. These kids don't have that backing. They don't have those same opportunities. Now, for me, I think no matter how gifted you are in what area, that should be the focus point. If you've got the academic prowess and skill to be able to do both, fine, brilliant. But if you're gifted athletically and you can go on and you can play a sport at a high level and you can be a competitor at that national level, then what the hell does it matter what your English GPA is, or, you know, what your overall score is in your test? It doesn't. At the end of the day, some of these kids, the only way forward for them is through sport or through achieving some passion that they've got for, you know, a creative project, or being really good at art and going out and, you know, becoming a world famous artist. Fine. What does it matter realistically, other than the reputation of the university and their academic results being posted? And that's where I've got the conflict there, because for me, I'm an educator first and foremost of children, not of academics. And I teach English, you know, I'm a core subject. I don't care if they pass their exams, if they leave me a better person than when they came in, and I've given them every opportunity I can give them. And for me, the eligibility thing, it stifles them. It stifles that ability to go and be the best and do what they can do athletically. So I don't agree with it.
Marvin, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think it's really just huge failure on Florida A&M to allow this to happen. Like Ben was saying, like, you know, at USC, you know, obviously I get it's USC, they have different resources, is what it is. But the player not being eligible, that's not even something that, I don't know if I even heard that before of happening. And to me, when you look at how much support, you know, academic support and these resources, you know, was poured into us, I want to say it's almost impossible to happen. So for Florida A&M to have their whole team disqualified because of a team issue, just not being able to collectively be eligible, I blame the administration, I blame the coaches, I blame the parents, you know, for not instilling the value of the education into the players. I blame the players for allowing themselves to not be eligible. I mean, they know what their grades were. I went through periods at USC where my grades dipped, and whenever that academic advisor had a conversation with me, my grades went right back up. You know what I'm saying? And for me, it was just really more effort, to be honest with you. But yeah, man, it's systematic failure. It's a horrible look for HBCU, which, you know, I think a lot of people still don't appreciate the value of these schools and these institutions, and this just adds to that. And it's just a bad look, man, especially when you're seeing, you know, these kids in the transfer portal bounce around, and you're wondering, you know, are they getting an education as they bounce from school to school? I mean, are they learning something? Will this degree be of value? And then when you see something like this, it's kind of in the same boat. You know what I mean? It's just, what a blown opportunity by the school, by the kids. I mean, it's just bad, man. I hated to see that. And, you know, I hope that the university, you know, puts its resources into making sure these kids graduate, because you have to look at it. I mean, most college football players don't make it to the NFL anyway. All right. And then the fact that you're, you know, at a HBCU, which is not P4, doesn't say that you're not good, and it doesn't say that you're not going to the NFL, but that's considered to be a lower class of football. And those kids make it to the NFL even less than, you know, kids in P4. So, you know, again, that just increases the value of the education for me. Complete failure all the way around. It was a horrible look. I hated to see it.
Yeah, I think I think you all kind of touched on, you know, notable points. You know, complete failure all around, from the student athletes to the university, all of it. And, you know, there had to be warning signs before they got here. That's where we're at. So I think as a whole collectively, it is a total failure on every which angle you want to look at it. And the only thing I could sit there and say is these kids probably weren't even showing up, and that's how it got that bad. Because the only way you don't find a way to get yourself as a team to that point is if you're just not showing up altogether. And as Marvin, as you were just talking about, it's an effort thing. Again, this is why I said when we're pointing the finger, it's going all the way around the room. It's going all the way around the room on this one.
And let me say, I agree with what Meg said that everybody isn't, inclined to be student of the month. I get all that, but I do believe that everything begins and starts with effort. You know what I mean? And that's just effort. That's just dudes being lazy. Coaches.
That's why I'm sitting here saying it has to be them not showing up. There's no way that as a team, you get that low, that bad, that they're just not showing up.
They're not showing. The one thing that is prevalent in this college is this, and it's every college. Good students work on it, bad students work on it. Good students, you know what they do? They go to class. I didn't say they were good students. They go to class. And sometimes
that's all you need to do for some of these professors will just show up and show interest and effort. That's all you have to do to pass half the time.
Well, some of these professors always be also kind of like, you got the nerve to not show up to class and y'all ain't even that good. I can see if y'all were balling. So these professors, they fans now. They come to games. And it's like, let me get this straight. Y'all ain't coming to my class at all. Like, y'all ain't showing up at all. Something happened. It will never happen again. Because, no, that's the one thing, man, keeping coaches, helping keep young men eligible, man, that's a part of your job. That's a part of it. Like, what happened? This is a group effort. And once I don't even know what your GPA got, I wouldn't even know. I know what my GPA got to be for me to be ineligible individually. I don't even know what it would have to be as a team for us.
And it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't. Yes. It's not like all of a sudden you're not eligible. This has been a slow burner where it's happened over a period of time, and nobody's stopped the bus and said, "Wait a minute, let's backtrack a little bit. We need to fix this before we go to the next step."
Yep. It's a bad look all the way around, but hopefully it's something, student athlete, school, university, all that, they all can kind of learn from this and just get better as fast as they can.
Guaranteed.
You're not going to get it back up to where you're eligible this year, but listen, sometimes you got to learn the hard way. You got to learn the hard way
before the season start. Some HBCU is going to come out talking about how good their GPA is. I guarantee, because the HBCU as a whole, they take a hit. It ain't like if Ohio State is under penalty, that doesn't hurt Michigan. That doesn't hurt Penn State. When this happens to FAM, that hurts all HBCU. They're going to say, see? So some of them going to have to say, hey, man, who got the higher GPA and put out an article? Somebody pick it up. Because now they're thinking we ain't going to class. Well, the fam, you're not. You're not doing something, which, I feel like, man, I think this was probably been going on in 2024, 2023. And it just say, hey, dude, we can't keep doing this. Because if they dig deep, they look at some of these grades. I'm like, as my daddy would say, well, you don't even got to go to class to get grades like this. You don't even have to. Well, I'm not going to class, so that's a reflection.
Well, I tell you what, we may have some good news. Maybe one of our current viewers right now goes by USCJ. He hosts a great USC podcast. He just sent me a text saying that their penalty wasn't because of grades. It was because of basically what amounts to lack of procedure by the institution in either providing academic information or something like that, something to do with their academic tracking system, not so much the grades. So that makes me feel a little bit better. You know what I'm saying?
These are the athletes themselves.
Yeah. So maybe.
So this the front office. This is the people that complain.
Oh, man, I'd be transferring immediately.
Right.
I'd be transferring immediately.
It's the same point. Horrible leadership, right? That's horrible leadership.
Exactly.
That's even worse. So think about it.
That's worse.
I did all this work to get these grades up, and they ain't even get sent out. Nope, they ain't get sent right. Wow.
Right. Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh man. And speaking of worse, I came across this one this week, and I just had to stop and we have to discuss this one, right? So obviously everyone knows by now the consensus worst number one overall pick of all time is Jamarcus Russell, right? We can all agree upon that. I think that's a fair statement.
Yeah, he up there. Yeah, he
right. So apparently, like he went and did this podcast or whatever, and obviously, was not happy with this moniker, right? And basically, he's done with the narrative. He's basically saying, "Yeah, I'm mad as bleep. Don't call me a bust. Period. I'm gonna show you a bust and bust you in your mail." So Jamarcus Russell don't want to hear no more of the bust talk. Listen. We were just talking about dealing with the public, public perception and all that. There's an argument to be said that he is He is without a doubt a bust, regardless if he's the worst bust of all time or not. It is up to perception of what people think. Hell, I still think Danny Watkins is the biggest bust of all time. He barely played 2 years, and the Eagles wasted a first round pick on him. He wanted to be a firefighter. He didn't want to play football. How do you waste resources on that? Jamarcus actually wanted to play football, just other factors were into it. I don't know if it was the system, whether he wasn't taking it seriously as far as getting to know the playbook, getting himself in proper shape, etc. That played into the fact that he wasn't successful during his time there. But to be mad at the point of basically to sit there and say that you're not a bust, and the next person that basically says that in your presence, you're going to bust them in the mouth is, I think, completely telling of the entire situation. I'm going to start off with Meg on this one. Do you think Jamarcus has a leg to stand on this one, or just you got to take your licks here?
Look, I think it's crazy that everyone's entitled to an opinion. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to like it. You have to respect the fact that everyone's allowed an opinion. It's subjective, right? What makes me laugh is that he still uses the Instagram handle _the biggest QB. That makes me laugh because, there's a certain level of ego that's involved here, as we can see from his comments. But the fact that you're resorting to violence because you disagree with an opinion, fair enough, it's a shared opinion by multiple people on a public scale. Take the criticism, man. You didn't do the work. You didn't do what you needed to do to be, on the opposite end of the spectrum and be one of the greats. So it is what it is. Accept it. Move on.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this one, Marvin? Jamarcus overreacting here?
Well, going back to mental health, think about the stress and just the discomfort he's dealing with being identified as the biggest bust in the history of the NFL draft. I mean, just think what comes with that. You think that money, can fix everything, but nah, man, you got a lot of rich people who putting guns to their head, and I feel for the brother, I do, but he also got that check. You know what I'm saying? He also gave him that check. So part of me is like, bruh, the film don't lie, ain't never lied. You don't hear a lot of people saying, yeah, he was drafted to the wrong team or he didn't have the right coach. And you don't hear that because it wasn't none of that. He just was completely overvalued for the NFL game. I don't think, I look at guys like David Carr or the first Carr brother who went to Houston. I don't think he's a bust. I think he went to a horrible organization and got sacked more time than any other quarterback in NFL history in a 5-year period. With Jamarcus, Lane, when Lane Kiffin talked about him, Lane was talking about what I took from it is that he was saying, I don't think this dude, cerebrally is that level of player to do this. And I think it was Lane who was saying that. I don't want to put that on him, but yeah, man, it's a tough label. I think this tells you he's stressed out, man, and he's been carrying the weight of the failure. And he's someone who can go he needs to get some help because you shouldn't want to, public attitude and opinion comes with the job. You knew that from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? And people act crazy, and that's what they do. I don't think they should get a pass for always acting crazy and saying things to people, but like, this is what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? You had an opportunity to change the narrative. You didn't. you got that check, right? So suck it up, Buttercup. You know, it don't need to go out here and hurt nobody over feelings and words. We better than that. Come on now.
Ben, your thoughts on this? Jamarcus Russell needs to just let people have their opinion and just, let it roll off you like a droplet of water, right?
Man, you better turn it into a podcast. He better just embrace it. Because I was out there in 2008 with Jamarcus Russell. I was out there with him and Lane. I was out there, right? Here's the thing. Sometimes it just don't translate from college to the pros. It just don't. And you just don't want to be look, Jamarcus Russell did this thing to where you got singled out as being the worst because you were the first overall pick. That's why you are the worst, because of where you were drafted. To me, if I had to pick a number 2, I would say Johnny Manziel. He is my number 2. But he also went to Cleveland, and so he had a lot of help. Cleveland ain't had a good quarterback, so Jesus was a baby. It was bad. It's bad. Cleveland is bad. So all I'm saying is with Jamarcus Russell, right? Everything he says, it's not going to help his cause. Because people going to say, wait a minute. You played for the Raiders, right? Yeah, they drafted you you was the number 1 overall pick. Yeah. Now, we've all seen bad quarterbacks. They're just saying you the worst of the bad. You are the worst. Worse than Ryan Leaf, right? Worse than Dan Orlovsky running out the back of the end zone. But guess what? If we can't learn your job is to flip it. Your job is to take what it said about me and flip it in the monetary gain if you can. Because saying I'm gonna punch you in the mouth, it's some crazies out there, and they gonna try you because they still think you got a little bread. So when you punch back, they're gonna got you. Now, Jamarcus, look, you're 40 years old, I think. Look, you can't win in public opinion now because everybody got social media. So you really want people to come at you? Now, do I like the former teammates of his saying they gave you some DVDs to take home and you didn't look at them? Wasn't nothing? I don't know why a coach would give me a DVD with nothing on it anyway, but you didn't even look at it. I am not saying all the criticism that comes his way is warranted. I'm saying we grown, man. If you can't laugh at, dude, they've been saying it for what? 20 years almost now? You've been out the league since 2009. They had DVDs literally back then. We ain't got them no more. So hopefully he can find a way to switch it up, because all you're doing now is going viral. And guess what? They'll say, you know how hard it is for the guests to act like they don't want to talk about you being a bust? What are they going to talk about? Your LSU days? Like, what is these people? So, Jamarcus, man, you played with Nnamdi Asomugha. Yeah, that's Kerry Washington's husband, right? Yeah. Like, what are they going to say? You played with Darren McFadden. No, they got to ask him, how does it feel? Man, I'm going to punch him in the mouth. All right. And guess what? They still going to call you the biggest bust. And does that make you the biggest bust? No. But it don't make you not the biggest bust either. It don't make you not that. It's just, Ryan Leaf loves Jamarcus Russell, because now they ain't talking about him no more. Hey, man, thank you for taking this off of me, because I had to deal with it. But no,
I think Ryan Leaf's more known for damn near strangling a media member in the locker room.
Now look, I will say this. Look, it's gonna be rough, but come on, man. I'm Jamarcus Russell. I'm the biggest bust in NFL history. Next thing you know, you're doing commercials, you got merch, you got a podcast. Because the quicker you embrace it, right, the easier it's going to be. The more you try to push, your stats and your time does not help your cause. They got Wikipedia. They got stats. He was there for how long? 3 years. So, I was in Oakland longer than Lane Kiffin. I got there in week 3. Lane Kiffin got let go in week 8. So I was in Oakland, and so what did Lane Kiffin do? Did he pout? No, he said, all right, let's get back into coaching. Go to FAU, go to Tennessee, become the coordinator at Alabama, go to Ole Miss. Look, now he's at LSU, where Jamarcus was. Man, you got to find a way to flip it, man. You too young.
Yeah.
You still got a lot of years left, man. It sucked. It's easy for me to say that it sucked or somebody calling me the biggest bust, but Come on, man.
At this point in time, I'd own it. I'd be like, but at least I was a bust. What did you do with your life?
Listen, Cam Newton didn't jump on the football, right? He ain't dive on the football in the Super Bowl. He don't got to like it, but that's a big part of his legacy. Does that mean he wasn't an MVP? No. Does it mean he wasn't first team All-Pro? No. But Cam, what? The reason why Cam Newton says I'd rather have a regular season MVP than a Super Bowl MVP, yeah, because you can't play no more Super Bowls. But Cam, once again, I'm going to call you a liar. I'm going to just say you ain't telling the truth because your legacy is see ball, look at it. Run up to it and, oh, shoot, it got the cooties. I can't touch it. So we got legacies, man, and nobody wants to talk about your worst play but your Marcus. Listen, let me say this about your Marcus Russell. He can throw the rock. He can throw that thing. The problem is he throws it to everybody. He going to throw it to us, and he going to throw it to them too. He going to throw it to our jerseys and the other jerseys. He will. He did. And at one point, it was Darren McFadden at running back. It was Jamarcus Russell at quarterback, right? They had Zach Miller at tight end. They had Nnamdi Asomugha at one safety. They had D'Angelo Hall at the other safety, right? Listen, it's not that the Raiders was bad. They had Jamarcus. And what happens is, you know this, Marv, if my quarterback is bad, the team is bad. Because you can't hide. And like I said, Lane Kiffin got let go because of Jamarcus. And I'm like, I thought he was going to resurrect his career, go to another team. Because the Raiders ain't had no luck with quarterbacks either in a long time. And they had Carson Palmer at one point. You know what I'm saying? But Jamarcus, man, laugh at it. Go on a podcast. 2 of the people pay you to come on. We ain't paying you to come on here. You can come over here. We ain't getting no money to come over here. But no, I think to have this much aggression, come on, man. You wasn't saying nothing. Go say something to the person who started this. Skip Bayless, who started? I don't even know who started the biggest bust, but saying I'm gonna punch him in the mouth, and then the interviewer's thinking you finna punch me in the mouth because I just asked you. No, not you. You know how big America is. It's a bunch of people saying it, so he'll be all right though, man.
He'll be fine. It'll be something that hopefully he doesn't act on and just, like I said, let it roll off you like a drop of the water. But we're talking about the draft and bust and everything like that. I came across this story and I absolutely had to talk about it, man. So this kid, no agent, no nothing like that. Kid from Eastern Michigan, Freddie McGee III, standing outside the Detroit Lions facility, hoping to get a shot in the NFL. Doesn't have an agent. Wrote his college stats on a board there, and basically, is just trying to get his opportunity, right? Regardless if he gets drafted, or anything like that, I think just that belief in himself, that wanting to just give me a chance, that the Lions should at least give him an invite to camp, regardless, man, because we just sit there. We just talked about it. The percentage of college athletes that become NFL starters on an NFL roster, practice squad, whatever, is very, very small. It's very small. It's barely 60 men per team, including the practice squad, right? So, what are your guys' thoughts on this one? Let's start off with Marvin. You think drafted or not, do you think Detroit should give this kid an invite to camp or no?
On one hand, I want to let you know that these NFL teams ain't into sentiments. They don't, they're not looking at this, like that. But then from a public relations standpoint, it's positive news. It wouldn't shock me if what he did inspired some scout to tell their GM, hey, maybe this kid's worth a look, whatever it may be. I mean, that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to generate one lead. He's trying to, get one person to say maybe player of the year for his conference, regardless of the conference. If that's college, that's relevant. That says something, and they bring so many guys in just to look at, just to sit down with. It wouldn't shock me if this spurred something, just because he does have a football resume that makes you look twice. So yeah, I'm with it, man. Listen, when I was getting out, I wrote handwritten letters to every GM in the NFL. I did. I mean, at that point, man, I see my whole thing slipping through the door. You do whatever it is. And my agent was slipping, to be honest with you. I felt like in a tough situation, he went there. He don't want to have an agent, this kid. So, that may be his first move, but I don't know why he doesn't have an agent, because if the agent doesn't see him as a player of value, that's not a good thing. But maybe he just, don't trust the game like that. I don't know. But I admire him putting himself out there like that. I understand, we understand, Ben and I, for sure, what it is to be in his position, just hoping you get an opportunity to play in the league. And my whole thing as an undrafted free agent was, I don't care if I get drafted or not. I just want to have an opportunity to get to camp. That was really how I saw it, you know what I'm saying? And when that happened, I made the team, and that was cool, because that's what I thought was going to happen for real. And then I started partying too much. That's another conversation. But but nah, man, I love what he's doing, man. Marketing himself, whatever it takes, man. There's no ego in this thing, so I'm with it.
Ben.
I do agree with what Marv said about the PR, but let me tell you what NFL teams do. They'll say, look, man, we don't want one team knows if we do this, it's players in every city like him. They don't got his resume now. But they can make a sign and they can stand out front and they can say, hey, man, I had 7 interceptions and here's the thing, though. This could go the other way. They let him to camp, right? And sometimes you realize, hey, dude, the best players in the world at camp, they're going to get cut too. See, camp is overwhelming because you see it ain't the players sometimes that make it. It's the players that get cut. You go, they cut him? The dude that was, yeah, man. So I could, Coach Dan Campbell, they've gotten really, really good at PR in Detroit over the years. They understand it. But they got to sit this young man down and say, do you really want to negotiate without an agent, young man? You really want to do that with us? Because you find you an agent that can speak on your behalf way better. He don't got to do no signage. And it's something you saying, Marv, if you can't find an agent in today's market, I get it back in the day. They got agents popping up. Now, I'm not saying they NFLPA certified. All of them ain't. But you can't find an agent now. That, to me, that's the thing. It's what is it about the NFL process? Because sometimes you got to go for yourself in the process a little bit, have a little faith in it. Because the thing about an agent, and an agent gonna say, hey man, get off the front lawn. Get off. You know what I'm saying? You don't gotta do that. Let your tape speak for you. But listen, I've never been him. I do respect what he's doing. I really, really do. But here's the real thing that no one's talking about. You think them free agent DBs, they're going to come in there with Detroit going to say, man, you think this dude for them great team over me? I'm telling you that them alpha males, they coming through that door and to make the best players in camp are undrafted free agents that make the team. They are the best players in camp because they got the longest road. They got the hardest road. Undrafted free agent mean I just had to cut a starter, probably from the previous year who I had slighted. So I'm rooting for them. I'm always rooting for the players, whether you college, pro, high school, middle school, always rooting for the players. But sometimes you got to trust the process because what's a moment in time for you, an agent to say, hey, man, the agent going to tell you the truth. Look, man, this is what they saying. And the first thing they saying is get the hell out that front lawn. Get off. Because it makes you look, yeah, you grit, and I love it. But if you good enough, man, they'll find you. And guess what? Don't let the NFL be the end-all be-all. What about that? What about the UFL? Shoot, I heard with the UFL, they pay you, and they pay you wherever you live at. They pay for that. So you ain't got to pay room and board. What they making, what, 60, 70,000 or whatever it is? That's pretty good. That's a pretty good change, man. To go out there and, go hit somebody for 10 weeks. The Rock, he got to put together. So hope he lands on his feet, man. I really, really do. Rooting for him. I'm never, ever here to tell somebody how to go about their business. But if you ain't got no agent, boy, they already throwing you to the wolves with an agent. You ain't got no agent. They doing their hand like this. Hey, man, bring him in, man. And so we'll see what happens, though. We'll see what happens.
Meg, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I agree with everything that we've said so far, really. But it's hard because it is a hearts and minds mission that he's on here. Realistically, he's looking to get that publicity out there to be like, hey man, look, I'm showing up, I'm here, and I respect it. I do respect it. But like what Ben just said, I'm always for the underdog. I'm always the one who's cheering you on at the sideline. But I spoke to Danny Garcia at the UFL. I spoke to her in depth about what they can do for players. There's so many opportunities there that, and just because you hit the UFL doesn't mean that you're not eventually making the NFL. We've seen that time and time again where we've got players coming through. Yes, it might take that extra step to go play in the UFL a couple of seasons, get noticed, put your best self on the field, get yourself an agent, get yourself together, and then present yourself. But I respect what he's doing, man. I respect the hustle. And I think, my only concern is if a team does then go and give him that opportunity, it does set a precedent where you've got, Harry down the street who has played a couple of games of football at high school and all of a sudden he thinks, I might not have that record that this guy had, but it's worth a shot, right? And then what happens? Where does it stop? And that is a concern. Obviously, that's not on his mind because he's focusing on his career and getting his opportunity. And like I said, total respect for that. However, there is a process there for a reason. And, we can't, yes, there is the chance that he could go on and have the greatest career since Brady, but realistically, is that realistic? Is that what's going to happen? The chances are higher that it's not. So I feel for the kid because I do think that, he obviously does have that grit and determination. And I think that'll serve him well no matter what his career is. It doesn't have to be on the field.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it all plays out. I think we're 8 days away from the draft as we sit here today. So we'll find out what happens over the next 2 weeks. If he lands somewhere, if he doesn't land somewhere, if his persistency pays off and gets him either drafted or invited to training camp. We'll see how it all plays out. And seeing how it all plays out seems to be the comment of the last few weeks. And we're going to get into the main topic today, which was basically has been the topic of all the football world over the last week now, right? Me and Ben kind of lightly touched on it last week. And it's just gotten uglier and uglier and deeper. So let's unravel this bag of snakes here because there's a lot to unpack on what happened. Obviously, Dianna Russini made her statement yesterday, tendered her resignation. In all intents and purposes, the quote was, rather than allowing this to continue, she's decided to step aside before her current contract with the Atlantic expires on June 30th of this year. So because she doesn't accept the narrative that's being constructed around this, and because I refuse to lend further oxygen to this or define my career, is more or less what her statement was yesterday, as far as the press release regarding her stepping down. And like I said, I think it only raises more questions, and there's more to unpack than just this one situation, because she's been involved in some other things for the better part of 10 years leading up into the situation. So I'm gonna pull up a couple different things. We'll all kind of have a chance to digest it, comment on, and stuff like that. So let's start off with her time in Washington, in DC, right? Now, one of the general manager's wives had publicly accused her of trading sexual favors for scoops, right? Had to later recant her allegations and statements, but it didn't change some of the stuff that was going on around it, to the point where the GM's wife had gone on to social media, literally tagging Dianna and basically sitting there saying, how many what's to get a story, do they laugh at you before and after? And basically, she kind of like glossed over what was happening. And then, the GM's wife again basically said, pretty sure this information is coming from my husband, another one of these is basically her that's saying that's her insider. Not only that, this hasn't been confirmed in any way, shape, or form, but I do think it needs to be mentioned, is that she had been apparently involved with current Rams coach Sean McVay, and her and another reporter had apparently got into a fist fight outside of a restaurant around Redskins training camp, and that, you know, apparently, you know, both her and the other reporter had basically gotten into it, and no one has confirmed this story. No one's denied it either. So, with all that's going on, we know now that there is some fire to the smoke that has been coming out. Now the other thing is I think I've already said it. I think her stepping down and not fighting the allegations, because, you know, it was apparently a girls' weekend. None of her girlfriends has done stepped up for her, so I think we all can kind of assume what's what on this end, right? But I also think it devalues anything she said at any point in time over her career. Now, you had Philadelphia sports media here in Philadelphia had given her the insider of the year, and he was basically standing up for her, right? Saying that she's been good to us, that she's rooting for her, you know, talking about how her next podcast will be great. Well, X had come out and just named off how many times her reports had come out to be totally false. Aaron Rodgers' desire to leave the Jets, Steve Sarkisian's interest in an NFL coaching job, Max Crosby, you know, she was involved with where Max was supposed to go prior to this offseason. George Kittle's desire to be the highest paid time. All these has now been fact checked and proven to be false, right? And me and Ben kind of spoke on this last week. She's been on AJ Brown's rear end for the better part of 9 months. The fact that she, again, I said this last week, I'm going to reiterate it. I do not care if she does have a personal relationship with Mike Vrable. That's between their spouses and whatever, to kind of sort that bag of snakes out. But the fact that you do have this type of relationship, and that you've been particularly going after this one guy for the better part of 9 months, and then as soon as this stuff comes out, there's no more reports on anything on this guy. Nothing. I think it leads to the thing that, yes, her resignation raises more questions, but I think it also raises more questions the validity of what, not just how she was accumulating the information and stories. That's a whole nother argument to have in itself, that the validity of what she's actually been writing over this period of time should also come into question. I'm going to start off with Meg on this. Again, there's still so much more we can kind of dissect and go over this, and we'll probably will. But just from what's been going on, what's come out, the stuff that I've just kind of brought out and shown everybody, is, as an insider, I think Dianna's career is irrevocably damaged at this point in time. Both to be trusted with things and to trust with what she's writing is 100% true. What are your thoughts, Meg? You're a female content creator. Do you feel this is going to make it harder for you to do what you want to do in this field?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I get the most frustrated about already, and again, we spoke about this last time, as a female personality, content creator, reporter, whatever, in the world of sports, which is a very, very heavily male dominated industry to start with. One thing that I have always set a standard for myself anyway is I'm not using my gender to try and you know, further my career. That's not what it's about. For me, it's credibility. It's being able to be depended on. It's being able to give the facts, right? When you see these stories coming out as a female, and you're watching these women who are being perceived in this way because of their actions, let's be honest, her actions have led to this, regardless of how platonic that interaction was with Vrable, regardless of previous allegations, etc., her actions have resulted in these rumours coming about. Now, the statement that she gave to me, it's like when you're accused of something and you know you've done something and somebody says, I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, right? Straight away, that tells you that person knows that they've done messed up somewhere. There's something that they've not done or something that they have done that's resulted in this coming about somewhere down the line. Now, this, like you've said, you know, there's certain stories that have come out. We've listed several already. There's more even to be added to that list that have shown to be factually inaccurate. They are not true. And when you're associating with certain characters, certain individuals, again, like you've said, I don't really care if she's got a relationship with Mike Vrable. That's not any of my business, what she's doing in her personal life. However, when she's using her platform to spread misinformation, to take away the credibility of journalism, which, let's be honest, in some form or way, we are all journalists. We're all putting out information. We're all giving our opinions on things. We're all sharing information out daily. In the world of social media, we're all, you know, I don't know how much you guys use Twitter, but like, or X, but we're all reposting things. We're all sharing things. You know, when Rap Sheet comes out, we're like, oh my God, headlines, Ian Rappaport's reported this, or, you know, whoever. When she's putting out those stories and those narratives, and she's, you know, coming out with this information, you would like to think that it's a credible source. She's worked at credible outlets that we trust to be giving us information. And unfortunately, what that her actions have done is reduce an already damaged industry due to corruption in the past. People don't trust the word of the news anymore. Everybody's questioning, how biased is this? Whose opinion is that? Is it actually true? How many journalists can you say can accurately and without any sort of bias, unconscious or not, report on a story? None, because we're human, right? But when you're inserting yourself into the personal life of the people who you're reporting on and the rivals of people who you're reporting on, there's a real sticky line there. And, you know, I just feel like, for me, it's extremely frustrating when people use their sexuality, their gender to further their careers. And I'm of the belief, and this is purely my belief, that she has done that consistently throughout her career to get a step ahead. And I always say, you know, if you can climb up that rung so fast and you're quite happy to step on people and to put people down and to pile on people time and time again, when you fall from that ladder, there is nobody there to catch you. There ain't nobody who's standing with their hands out like, I'm going to catch you. And we've seen that in her girlfriends not stepping up and giving her any credibility. We've seen that in other people around her who aren't stepping up and defending what she's done. If I was being accused of that and I knew for a fact I was innocent and my girls were on a trip with me, you best believe that they would be the first ones to be releasing statements. They would be like, no, that is not the narrative. That's not what happened. That is absolutely false. We've had none of that. All we've got, again, is her word for it. And that word means nothing right now.
I wholeheartedly believe it. And it just, with what I've laid out, and there's just so many other things, especially with the Vrable thing, but we'll kind of get into that in a few minutes because she's been attached to him longer than just this past season for other reasons. But we already talked a little bit about it with Ben, but Marvin, let me get your thoughts on this. Like, what are your things about this whole situation? Do you think it hurts the actual female columnists, reporters, etc's ability to be able to do the kind of insider type of reporting that typically a lot of these women do have the ability to do? But do you think it damages what it is as a whole, or she's just a one-off type of person?
Yeah, you know, the sports and the NFL, you know, they're trying to market and push a product. They're trying to get as much market share as possible. What we know about marketing and if it's about human culture is that sex sells, period. So what they've essentially done, in my opinion, is they intentionally hire attractive women who happen to have a sports background and have sports information and grew up in sports, but they're going for the sex appeal 1,000% and just trying to find the most competent person within that. And there are many of them. I mean, there are many sports reporters who I look at beyond how they look, and just I do enjoy their commentary and what they have to say. But again, sex sells. So this is what they've been going with. And these women who are hired in these positions, they've been called beautiful before they got to the NFL, before they're reporting in the NFL. They understand that they're attractive and how that benefits them. And I think that from the beginning of time, I think that you had situations where women will absolutely trade sexual favors for any type of advancement, whether it's a loaf of bread or if it's information. I think that's just normal human tendency. And what we're seeing here, obviously, is this come alive. We're seeing what it really looks like. What we're seeing is what it really looks like when people say the media is in control and they're making stuff up and they're controlling people's heads. You see it because she's did it. And they you had a whole list of the articles that pushed crazy narratives toward really big names. You know what I'm saying? And you don't know how that shaped people's personal interest on people. So yeah, I think what she did, absolutely. It appears that she has she's looking for information. And she'll get it any kind of way. I think what's done in the dark comes to light. I think that Meg is right. That somebody would step up. There would be other evidence. You know what I mean? That there were other people there, and maybe it was platonic. It was none of that. If she's innocent of this, and he's innocent, and this is platonic, then I don't think she quits. I'm not buying that. I'm not giving this oxygen. I think it is what it is. I think it is what it's been since Adam and Eve, y'all. They was getting down. She was getting information. She feeling herself. She making fake narratives, putting it out there. That's what the media does, and we're seeing it in real time. So when people say the media is making it up, the media is controlling this, people are right. She's evidence of that, and she absolutely makes it hard on other women who are out here, getting it in the most respectable way.
And my thing about this is people think that I want people to know this isn't a normal thing. A coach and a reporter have we ever seen Pam Oliver going on vacation with Larry Fitzgerald or anything no, because there's an ethical line that you don't cross. Do anyone remember Robin Roberts sleeping around with her other co-host on ESPN no, because there was an ethical line that these women did not want to cross because they didn't want their reputation ruined. So for the next generation of female reporters, columnists, insiders, that they're not looked at. Oh well, how did she get that information? I bet she was doing that. And then you get these silly comments like, all right, I'm gonna pull this one up, right? So you had Jameel Hill basically saying that while the photos raise questions, that if male insiders were held to similar standards of ethics, none of them would exist. I emphatically disagree with that, because let's break that down for a second. Adam Schefter isn't sleeping with the coach, owner, or GM of any team to get his information. He's built that off of years of trust that we'll talk about this. We won't talk about this. We'll break this news. We'll wait for you guys to make a press release on that before we have a comment on it. He's done it through an integrity of his work. There's no man's going to be caught in this situation, because 9 times out of 10 in a sport like this, the percentage that of a gay male insider is less than 1%. That's the reason why there's a different standard, because a man isn't going to put himself in that situation. You may have an insider that might be gay, but he's not using his sexuality as a way to get that information.
What I will say, in terms of that, from my personal experience working with press agencies and news agencies, it's not that it doesn't happen role reversal, that there's men in positions of power or in positions of public perception control I worked for a press agency last year, and I was approached by the owner of said press agency, who said, if you sleep with me, I will give you a Super Bowl press pass. And that legit, and I quit the press agency that day, because although it's my biggest dream to go and report at Super Bowl, I would not cheapen the quality of journalism, let alone the disrespect on people. And that's fact. That's just, as a human being. No, it's not as a woman, as a human being. Men do it as well, right? It's in a different way, controlling a narrative in a different way, and people don't necessarily see that. I never publicly, until right this second, I've never publicly come out and said that. I've got the messages, I've got the receipts, I could finish the agency if I wanted to. But realistically, what does that do? What does that do?
It holds people accountable, Meg. Like, I'm glad that you said that with us today. You have to hold people accountable, because if you don't hold them accountable, what about the next girl that comes in?
Oh, don't get me wrong. Every single press connection that person has is now gone, because I've spoken to ESPN, I've spoken to various different people in terms of making them privately aware of it, and said, you need to be careful with dealing with this agency. Haven't seen them pop up at anything ever since. However, it's not a safe space for women to come out and share that information, because me, as someone who does very, very small scale, micro influencing, if you like, and I hate that term, but for want of a better word, what does that, the way that I felt at the time was, firstly, it was completely unsolicited. It was completely out of the blue for me. I did not expect it. He'd sent images of himself, etc., that were, again, completely unsolicited. But for me, there is a culture around media and especially content creators. Let's be honest, we're not real journalists. We're media content creators. There was a perception for me where I didn't feel like at the time I was in a position to come out and say anything, because I thought, well, who's going to listen to me over this, this big agency who's out there doing
I'll
things?
say it like this, Meg. You have the receipts, the proof. No one can deny you.
And I know that. But then there's so much out there in terms of perception, like what we're saying right now. There's so much out there in terms of perception, and it damages the wider cause in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
For me personally to come out and say things. Don't get me wrong. Any female who's ever come to me and said, "Oh, you worked for that agency. How did you find it?" They get the truth. I'll tell them, and I'll warn them, and I'll make sure that to the best of my ability I can safeguard those people.
Yeah.
However, there is a culture out there that is happening under the radar that people don't necessarily see or know about. And, people go on about pretty privilege, and I see it all the time. See it all over social media. People have pretty privilege. They go on there, they're, good looking, they dress well, they've got time to, put together all these professional, presentations and all this kind of stuff. And realistically, they get the opportunities because, like Marvin's just said, sex sells. That's what people want to see. They don't want some, random person who they've never seen before, who's shown up with, greasy hair and looking a mess. They're not going to respect you the same way, right? But there's a subculture that goes on in the world of journalism and media, and I completely stepped back from. I was getting huge interviews. I was interviewing John McEnroe. I was interviewing Danny Garcia. I was interviewing, WNBA coaches, etc., through this agency. Every day I was getting a new press packet put to me saying, can you go do this conference? Can you do this? Can you jump in with this question? Can you interview Trevor Zegras at the NHL when he's moving to Philly? Great. Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely. And it was fine until it wasn't fine. And it's happening so much more than what we realise on a smaller scale. But because she's a big name, the attention's bigger, and it's important. It is absolutely important. I don't deny that. However, this has been going on for a long time, as we've seen.
Yep. It has, and like I said, she's been connected to him for longer than that. Like I came across this one too that I wanted to bring up. I'm going to note the thing of her and Vrable, right? So she was going off on this rant about her husband. You know, he's known to be an Eagles fan, that he was just going through the final 3 minutes. This is 3 years after the Super Bowl win, their first Super Bowl win, that she was having enough of it. And somebody hopped in her chat, was asking her if she's going to Nashville. Oh, you know, and responds like, "Hey, what kind of question is that?" With with a boot emoji. And then his response to that was, "Sorry, silly question to me. Did they add you a room at the Vrable conference?" This was December of 2020. Not not last year, not the year prior to that. This was 5 years ago. This comment was made, right? So she's been connected with Mike longer than that, and I agree with what you're saying too, Meg. That there's a microculture inside of the reporting world, that this thing is that guys put it out there that if you take care of X, Y, and Z, and you're a female, you'll be taken care of as far as breaking news type stuff goes. I agree that does happen, and that unfortunately, the way this is going to work out, that Dianna Russini is going to get the brunt of it all, and Mike Vrable might get close to no repercussions on this. None. Outside of whatever his significant other, if they're still together, because as me, Ben, and you talked about, we don't know if they're all together right now. We don't know if Mike Vrabel's in the middle of a divorce, or Dianna Russini's in the middle of a divorce. Dianna might be, because as much as she's going on social media and trash her husband, I don't know how I'd stand next to the woman at this point in time, because all the stuff that I just pulled out, I could have another 10 to 15 different stories, reels, etc., that where she has been dogging her husband. So it's one of these things, like, there's the difference between the morality side of it, which, I think Mike's going to get a pass on it. It's very unfortunate, because I don't think that he should get out of this scot-free if it is proven that they've had an ongoing physical type of relationship. But Dianna put herself in a situation by not addressing things, by her friends apparently not stepping up and saying, I think the writing's on the wall. We know what it is. And a lot of people know as sex does sell. But at the same time, there has to be a separate thing between business and what you do in your personal life. You can have a relationship with Mike Vrable without crossing that ethical boundary. And the fact that, like I've already sat there and said, she's been going after AJ Brown for 9 months. 9 months we've been hearing it's New England, it's New England, it's New England. We even heard Vrable sit there and say that he's had personal conversations with AJ since prior to him being traded to Philadelphia, and still continuing to have that. At this point in time, if anything more comes of this, the Eagles might have a legit tampering case on their hands and could very well be compensated for this. We're still talking about what ifs and everything like that, but there's still a whole lot to this to be unfolded. Ben, I know you've been waiting patiently on this. We did kind of loosely touch on this, but a lot more has kind of come to light since we last spoke on this last week. What are your thoughts of how this has grown even further, so to speak?
Sometimes when you have leverage in this game, it ain't good leverage, because Skip Bayless said he's been working with Dianna Russini for a long time. And he said he's known of her doing certain stuff like this. Now, he said he didn't like it, but that's her business. Like, I ain't like it, because he says
the game within the game.
He says right? It blurs the lines for men too. Because here's the thing, right? If Dianna, who's a grown woman, is doing certain stuff to get stories, right? Well, if I'm a Skip Bayless or that type of journalist, do I have to become friends with certain people in the media or certain people in these front office or with these I can't be objective anymore. Player has a bad game, I can't say that's my homie. Hey man, I may give you exclusive as long as you don't talk about what I just did. See what, and I do agree with Meg said. We'll take certain people and make it seem like, hey man, it is a subculture. Because you start saying, well, how did that person get this and how did that person get that? And then the only people who know is people within the culture. What Russini has done is saying, hey, it's not that what she was doing. It's been people have given it a blind eye for so long. Whatever she's doing, she ain't just got the ESPN. Because a lot of times when it comes to these situations, we got to look. I'm not here to try to come down on Russini as if she's the only one, but she'll make it seem like because of how big she is, all women doing it, and that's not the case. How does women get there? That's the thing is. Wait a minute. Is she really talented to do that? Can she really do this to do that? How do these women start doing WNBA? They got WNBA countdown like NBA countdown. What did they have to do? See, it's that part. We can't keep an individual. But the thing about Mike Vrable used to play for the Patriots. They used to do stuff on the Patriots, right? The Patriots have a culture of blurring the lines, drawing outside the lines, all kind of stuff. If people think that Mike Vrable didn't come from a coach, because he went from a player to a coach, he said, wait a minute. When I was with the Patriots, I'm not saying they did stuff like this, but they did stuff. So he was like, hey, man, I want AJ. Because, people listen to you, right? Yeah, I put stuff out. And it's so crazy because if I was accused of something, and if I do two things that make me look guilty, one is put out a statement and I don't apologize. And two, I settle. Like that stuff makes you look guilty, even if I'm not. But when it comes to the Mike Vrable stuff, he should not get off scot-free. I bring a man's name to your attention. Sharon Moore, former coach of Michigan.
Yep.
Everybody thought he did it. Oh, he shouldn't have did this. He shouldn't have did that. All charges were dropped. Where's the outrage? This man has lost his job, his reputation. Now, Mel Tucker was different. That's a different situation in Michigan State. But what I don't like is you are guilty until proven innocent, depending on who you are. And Sharon, he dominated the headlines for like a week and a half. But when
it felt like it was like a month. I felt like it was a month we were talking about that.
And that was not just sports outlets. That was NBC, that was MSNBC, that was CNN, that was Fox. Everybody had something to say. But when he gets with charges to drop, right before we go to commercial, former Michigan head coach Sharon Moore has been acquitted on all charges. Let's go to break.
Now here's the other side of this that I don't like. I was already brought up. Why is everyone outside of a few journalists, people stuff? No one's talking about this. It's being thrown on the rug. ESPN's not reporting on this. We've reported on everything from Tom Brady and his wife and everything else in between, but we ain't talking about this. Fox ain't talking about this. Hell, but when it got brought up to Ocho and Shannon Sharp, they ain't touching it. Well, first off, Shannon Sharp had no reason to talk about it and anybody's personal life. I don't blame him for not wanting to touch this. But it's more than just the fact that they were having a personal relationship. It's everything else as well as why it needed to be brought up. And the fact that no one's talking about it, you say that Skip knows about it. I think the other side of that is Dianna knows where other people's bodies are buried too. And that's
no. Dianna knows. It's not what you do, it's who does it. It's not what you say, it's who says it. She knows that. Because if the right person says it, oh man, come on, man. Like two people do the same thing. It's like this. And I'm not trying to act like he was a. What if Tom Brady would have nailed and not Colin Kaepernick? You think it would have went the same? Nope. It wouldn't have went the same, right? And we know that. And when these things happen, we like, wait a minute. And I'm not even getting political. Corruption is illegal. So when someone says, we found all this corruption, why ain't nobody going to jail? Because you ain't found anything. So what happens Dianna knows this. I know the business. I've worked for The Athletic. I used to work for ESPN. I know all the big wigs. I know them all. And she knows this. Let the wrong big wig say something about me. That's what she's saying. All right, y'all got me. Listen, I got a private investigator taking pictures. Whatever. I got an NFL camera taking these pictures. I don't know who this person was. That's Mike Vrable right there.
That's one of their spouses. I don't care what anyone says. That's one of their spouses.
But what happens is, right, it's like earlier when I said I'm not going to name my teammate because I can say what that person did without naming them. When the situation like this, when it comes to the big wigs in this industry, people want to see what really happens to them. Because if Russini ends up at another network, nothing happened. It's like if there was his coach, last name Petrino, right? He got fired from doing nefarious things when he was at Arkansas. Do you know he was the offensive coordinator of Arkansas last year? The same school that fired him rehired him, right? Where is he at now? He's at North Carolina as the offensive coordinator under who? Bill Belichick. All I'm saying is it ain't the same across the board. Yes, we got Russini. I get it. And she, but here's the thing. But you know what Russini is saying, really? Why is it bad now? Wait a minute. I've been doing this.
Isn't that why they ran Joy Taylor out? Because it was getting too crazy?
And guess what? And guess who you think they're gonna try to replace her with? Y'all just said sex sales, right? And you don't think Joy Taylor know that? If anybody knows, Joy knows. And it's not her fault that she's an attractive lady that knows sports. I'm not blaming her for that. What I am saying is there are a bunch of Megs in the world who say, I don't do that. That's why the guy was like, well, why don't you want to do it? Don't you want to go? I don't want to go to Super Bowl that bad. And it's so crazy that these powerful men, because Mike Vrable is very powerful, is using his power to get results.
Yeah.
And if you don't, man, I don't know this to be certain. I ain't got no sources. You think Mike Vrable did? Who you think told Mike Vrable about Russini? We ain't talking about it. Who told him that she will do this? Somebody said, Mike, talk to Dianna. What you mean? Talk to her. Talk to her about what, man? Just, I'm telling y'all, it's like this. There ain't too many things that's gonna happen in the NFL that's gonna shock me and Marv. I'm like, yeah, man. You see, it ain't gonna. Now we might go, what? It's hard to make us go, what? He said, what he did, what? It's not saying we were supposed to everything, but the Russini thing, right? Dianna is sitting back saying, all right. The reason why her friends ain't gonna say about that girl trip, because they're gonna say, is this the only girl trip y'all been on? See, they gonna ask the leave that alone. Look, hey man, that's you, Dianna. I'm not saying she ain't going on a girl trip. I'm just saying, name a girl trip that got a head coach there. One. I know one. Our head coaches happen to be where we at. Come on, man. This situation is wild, but it don't shock me. It's just bad for women journalists who, if you're pretty, if you're attractive, if you're talented, they thinking, who did you have to do? Not what did you have to do to get here? It's never, I'm talented enough. And but guess what? That goes way farther than women in sports now. It goes way far. What you doing? How you get in here? Who let you in? So it's all around. It ain't just the ladies are the ones at the forefront. You know what I'm saying? And let's call it what it really is. Not to give him any love, but there's a lot of Jason Whitlocks out there that are really, really mad that it didn't work for them. See, he won't say that out loud. He won't say when he says, I quote, could have done some things to Joy Taylor. No, you couldn't. No, you boy, sit. And guess what? That exposes something else. Certain guys want to be journalists and in the media to get leverage. I couldn't get her.
I'm gonna sit there and say there's already been more than a handful of podcasters that have sit there and said they would love to hire Dianna for their network, and it screams.
Don't think that Dianna ain't no hot commodity. She got let go from the Athletics. Somebody else going, now we can see it ain't. Sometimes what happened to you is still she's still high profile. It's just, hey man,
comes with some other baggage.
Get what you pay for, I guess. Yeah.
Before we wrap this one up, Meg, any final thoughts on this before we go to the next topic?
I don't think so. I think it's a sad state of affairs that your sexuality, your looks, your whatever is your leverage in this day and age where you've got, intelligent young women trying to make a breakthrough and can't because they won't lower their morality.
All right. So did have something I thought was hilarious come out this week, right? Outside of the craziness that we're already dealing with, right? So the Darius Slay had to make this comment because former Chiefs defensive end was talking, was on I think it was Ocho and Shady Show, and they were talking about the Super Bowl, right? And they were talking about getting blown out in the Super Bowl, and he was basically sitting there saying that he thought that they were going to dog the Eagles, and that the 49ers team from the prior Super Bowl was a better team. And Darius Slay didn't even wait long to say, and that Buddy was tripping, that they didn't stand a chance. How you going to talk like that when the Eagles took their starters out basically before the end of the third quarter? They could have dropped 50 on the at the time the two-time champion Chiefs. They both had a little back and forth on it. I have a problem with this, just outside of the fact that it was an Eagle player involved. How do you beat a fairly closely contested Niner team and then get your doors blown off by the Eagles team the following year and sit there and say that you felt the Niner team was a better team? As we were just talking about, the math ain't math in here. Let's start with Meg on this one. Do you feel like it's more of a salty thing that the Eagles stopped the potential three-peat, and that's why he has something to say? Or is it just because of all the reporting that's been going on A.J. Brown, on Jalen Hurts, on everything, where everyone just wants to pile on top of the Eagles? Is that what's going on here? What are your thoughts? What, if you're in his head, why do you feel like he's saying this right now, Meg?
I mean, thank God I'm not in his head, first of all. Let's start with that one. But the math just doesn't math with that statement. I don't comprehend it. Maybe there's some like CTE kicking in there or something. I don't know, but it just doesn't add up. And sometimes you hear these outlandish statements and you just think, is this a legitimate, just I'm going to seek some attention and hopefully cause a stir? Or is this somebody's serious opinion? You know me, I'm not a massive Eagles fan. I'm neutral on this ground. But it does seem like an absolutely wild business to be coming out and saying something like that.
Marvin, your thoughts on this one?
I think that jealousy and hate reveal itself in many different ways. I think that was just one there. That's it. It's an ignorant comment. Player emotional. Player's competitive. You put a mic in his face, and these. I don't know how long this guy's been in the league, but I would. Yeah, it was just unnecessary. You know what I mean? And it just shows that he's not over the ass whipping he took in that game, and he ain't man enough to address it. Man, listen, I see Muhammad Ali get knocked down. I see Mike Tyson get knocked down. It ain't nothing, man. It's life. You know what I'm saying? You compete at the highest level. Sometimes it go that way. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's like that. It is what we've seen that. So as fans, as competitors, we've been on both sides of that. We get it, man. So be a man about it, man. You know what I'm saying? And just give them people their flowers. The Eagles was absolutely dominant, in a game where you had lost both your tackles and they ate your ass up. Literally, you had no answer for that defensive front, period. Yeah, that's all.
Ben.
There are people that feel Michael Jackson wasn't that good of a performer. There are people that feel that Michael Jordan was that good. They're liars. Feelings, they fickle. What type of statement is I feel as though San Francisco was the better team? So let me get this straight. The team you beat was better than the team that beat you? No. Stop pressing send. Stop. These are private conversations that's not supposed to become public, right? We can see what you're saying, sir. What are you? A team that dominated you wasn't as good as a team you beat? Come on, man. And I will say this about sport. Sport is a humbling thing, man, especially when you make it to the highest level and you lose in the biggest game, there is in sports. But man, take it on the chin. like these slates they do, y'all got done. That wasn't even that game was over at halftime, man. That game was over with. Like
yo,
we've never seen.
To just lend your fact of how confident they were, Mekhi Becton reached out to his tattoo artist before the game was even played. I think it was like the Saturday before the game. It was like, yo, get that Super Bowl stencil ready. I'm getting tattooed come Monday.
That's something
they were confident. They knew what they had up against them, and they knew they had your number when it came down to Super Bowl Sunday.
You ever seen somebody get
Stop making excuses?
You ever seen somebody get in a fight? Like you're there, and they got the hell beat out of them. Like you're there, like you saw it, and then they just happen to be telling that story, but they don't know that you're there. And they say, "Man, I mean, he got me a little bit. I mean, he caught me a little bit." You like, what?
He's lucky I had to do that.
Here's the thing, though. Like this dude is talking like we didn't see the. You know how you say a game that we can't validate because we didn't see. Man, when I was in high school, and that same guy that got the hell beat out of him said, "Man, he got me a little bit." And then you walk out, and then he sees you. He's like, "What?" I'm like, dude, I said, it looked like two people whooped you. That was one dude did you like that. Look, as a former athlete, it is hard to admit defeat. Like, you don't ever want to say that somebody's better than you. I get that part. But to say, man, it wasn't even that good. What? A rookie got his first pick of the year. It was a pick 6 against Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Look, man, I get it. Look, nobody wants to say nobody's better than them. I get it. This and the third. But, sir, you picked the wrong time to do that. That's some sour grapes like I've ever seen it. Like I say, man, there are people out there that really, really think, man, I don't think Tom Brady was that good, man. I think he was all right. I don't think Messi and Ronaldo are that good. You're liars. You're lying to yourself. Like, that is not true. And that's not subjective. People say, hey, man, you know what I'm saying? Everybody, I said, no. Just because Odell Beckham Jr. said $100 million ain't that much money. To him, it ain't. $100 million? There ain't a lot of money when you think about it. Yes, the hell it is, too. That's a whole lot of money. But so I don't get it, but I appreciate Darius Slay saying, look, I'm mild-mannered, I'm very professional, very respectful, but I can't just let everything ride. CJ Gardner-Johnson, I got you on this one. You don't got to say a word. I got you. So yeah, you all right. That's crazy.
Now, we got a few more topics. Hopefully we can get through them all here. But I had to bring up this one. Now, I believe Alec Boehm is now the first athlete to sue his parents. Found out that they had misappropriated funds. He has fired his agent Scott Burris and hired a new one. But they filed for an injunction to try to get like almost $500,000 of the legal expenses that his parents took out of the account even after they started suing him. They were trying to get Alec to pay for the legal defenses. At this point in time, I think it's totaling. I think it's like $3 million. That when his parents were reached out to about between Boehm and his legal team, the first thing they did was hire a lawyer. So I think this is. I don't know. I may be misspoken here, but I do believe at this point in time, Alec Boehm is the first professional athlete to sue their parents for misappropriating funds.
What's he expecting to get? The money back?
Yeah.
He can wait on it. I already know what the defense is. We raised him, Your Honor. We gave him everything. That's what I was saying. Marv, what do we do? Look, if I'm getting sued by my children, by my child, let's do it. If I stole your money, that's why I'm being sued, and I use that same money to get a lawyer. What are we going to court for? In the words of Chris Rock, when he woke up in the morning, he said, I had my 3 lawyers. I had to pay for my wife's 3 lawyers. I won. Sometimes, man, hey, man, it don't happen the way you thought. If they ain't, you had enough money to steal. You just noticed it. Go make it again and get separate accounts. Make sure they don't got access to your money. That simple. I don't know what he's expecting to get. It's gonna look good, but you know, he gonna be getting that money. What type of installment do I get for $3 million? What type of installment is that? What do I pay a month? Man, please. We'll see.
Meg, your thoughts on this? Alec Bohm suing his parents.
In terms of the morality of it, right? I can see, like, if it was a stranger and it was, you know, a random, I don't know, agent or whatever who had misappropriated your funds, you'd be after them. You'd be on them and you'd be saying, I want my money, like, full stop, right? And I get it. I kind of respect the fact that he's saying, well, just because you're my parents, you don't get away with that. We've seen it, you know, famously with the Britney Spears case and all the stuff that went along with that. I think that if you're warped and twisted enough to steal from your own child, there has to be questions raised, because if you're doing it to your child, who else are you scamming? But equally, what state is that relationship when this is over with? Regardless,
obviously, I don't think they're coming to Thanksgiving dinner at this point.
They're not. They ain't sitting around the dinner table, are they? You know,
no, definitely not. Definitely not.
But it's interesting because I was reading into the breakdown of the funds that had been misappropriated, and some of it was like outright just there was, I think, just over $500,000 that had been, you know, directly just taken, and then the rest of it was in like stocks and shares and putting investments in certain things that they were invested in. And man, it's twisted. And this is where, you know, keeps family and business separate. Just keep it. It's like, don't do business with your friends. It doesn't work. It never works. Somewhere along the line, somebody's going to be butthurt about something and it's going to end up a problem. Just keep it separate, man. Your family is not worth, and this goes for both sides of that argument, family is not worth losing over money. Full stop.
Hopefully we don't hear the kid from Washington, Daniels. Hopefully his mom is keeping things on up and up, because she's his agent at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is she keeping the females away, but she's also it's an interesting situation. What about your thoughts on this one, Marvin? You know, Alec Bohm suing his parents. Is this a weird thing for you to read up on, hear about?
It's an unfortunate matter. It is, you know, like Meg said, it's really a morality thing. You know, you would think that your parents are the people that you can trust the most, and you know, who've been there for you. And what it just tells you is the power of greed. You know how real that is, man. And family or not, I mean, if you're not disciplined, or you know, if you have certain issues, you know, you get these situations. You know, we saw Gary Coleman, and you know, Meg mentioned a few others. I mean, this isn't the first time that we've seen this happen, but it's unfortunate, man. It is, and I hate to see it. In regards to the relationship, I mean, that's a tough one. That's a lifetime of therapy right there. You know, no doubt about it, and trauma. So, yeah, hate to hear that, and you know, but he's not alone. I bet there are, you know, you have active players today, you know, who are child prodigies. You know, made money early, NIL. I mean, it just happens sometimes, man. It is what it is. It's life. It's unfortunate, but it's really life for a lot of people.
It is unfortunate. Hopefully, it's something that they can all overcome and get past. Because I'm with Ben there. The holidays should be pretty interesting, and we're already halfway through April right now, and I don't foresee it being settled before the holidays. So should be interesting to see how everything unfolds in the Bohm household. But as we're getting close to it, we're in playoff time for hockey and basketball right now, and I'm fortunate that both my Flyers and Sixers are in it. But I do want to talk about the Flyers real fast. I came across this, and it's an interesting fact, right? That the Flyers, as of March 10th, they had a 4% chance of making the playoffs. Well, they did make the playoffs, and they're probably the hottest team in hockey right now. And not only that do they get in, but you have a case where you had the Islanders, Capitals, and Devils all had more wins than the Penguins and the Flyers, but they didn't make the playoffs because how hockey works with the breakdown when you go to overtime, that you get 1 point, at least 1 point now. So people are upset about that. But the thing I'm excited about is one of the better hockey rivalries is going to be rekindled with the Flyers taking on the Penguins. I think that the Flyers are the quote unquote Cinderella team of this NHL postseason. Is there anybody that you guys are looking forward to? Let's start with Meg on this one.
You know, I keep saying that I'm going to start watching hockey. I keep saying that it's going to be my next investment of my time. Unfortunately, that time, I've been trying to create that 25th hour in the day, and it's not happening. So
you can't create more time, Meg. I think we all want to, but I don't think it's possible.
It's a sad state of affairs. I'm a Blackhawks fan. I couldn't tell you where they're at. I couldn't tell you because I don't religiously watch it. So it would be unfair of me to comment on hockey, I feel.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right. What do you got, guys' thoughts? Marvin, Ben, you excited for hockey? I know Marvin isn't. I
mean, I didn't know it was even hockey playoffs. I don't.
I will say this about hockey right now. The Tampa Bay Lightning is obviously, I've been to a game before, and obviously the team from what the team in Florida last year won it all. I think they've won twice already.
The Panthers didn't even make the playoffs this year.
That's so. I just want to know how
after winning back-to-back cups. That's crazy.
We understand Pittsburgh. You know what I'm saying? We understand Pittsburgh and obviously Philly. We talk about the Steelers and the Eagles. So the Flyers and the Penguins, is it just as nasty? Or,
No, it's 100 times worse because I don't feel there's a real rivalry between the Eagles and the Steelers. We play in the same state. We're in different conferences. The Penguins, for the longest time, used to be in the Flyers division. So that was a real rivalry for a long period of time. It's been up and down because the Flyers have been so bad over the past, I think it was like 12 years or so. So, I mean, I think the last time they met in the playoffs was the year prior to the last time that the Flyers had made the playoffs. The fact that I think it was like it's been 7 or 8 years since the Flyers been in is a big thing. I think being that the Flyers were lottery pick teams each of the last 3 of the four seasons, and that in Tockett's first year, he's taken them to the playoffs. I think they are the kind of Cinderella team for the season. We'll see how far they'll go if they get past the Penguins. If they make a run in the playoffs, we'll see what happens. It's good when you have a young team, man, and they're not built up with free agents or veterans or stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see not only how they do this year, are they able to continue and build upon that success from years to come. One thing I do want to talk about, the Sixers did get in, and they're going to be playing the Magic for the play-in for the 8th seed. I have a problem with this. All right, the Sixers are the 7th seed, playing the 8th seed for the play-in. The way I don't like the play-in is because it should be the 8th seed playing the 9th seed, and those two are the teams that are playing for that last spot. I don't get why we're having an additional 10th seed to potentially see them getting in the playoffs. Is the only thing I have a problem with the play-in, especially when the fact that you have a situation like this. It should be like one of those things where they end the season and they're tied, and that's the only time you have a play-in. I mean, I was listening to an NBA player talk about this on a podcast, and he was like sitting there saying like one of the years that they were the 8th seed, they had 52 wins in an 82 game season. Like it would make sense for like you have a team that's just on the outside of, or even another team that has like 50 plus wins or so, for them to be in that play-in type of scenario. I don't like it when you're having the 7th and 8th are playing for that seed, and you're adding in the 9th and the 10th for no reason. You should. This is the same thing why I don't get the mid-season cup nonsense either. I get why you should have something like this in place. I don't think it should have a place every season. Is my thoughts on this. I'm gonna start off with Ben on this one. How you feeling about the play-in right now?
The participation trophies, they're doing it in real time. They get on my nerves. It's the NBA, man. Like you just said, look, if it's an 8th or a 9th and we tied or whatever, yeah, come on, man. Like what? Stop trying to make people do all this extra thinking. Dude, who got the best records, man? All right. Well, yeah, but kind of how we win or whatever. No, this ain't like baseball to where, man, like all them games still come down to the last week of the season. We talking about some teams, the Hornets, LaMelo Ball. I'm just saying, like, hey man, come on, man. Let's stop. Now, playoff basketball is the best basketball. I think it is incredible. Playoff basketball is, and that's the only way you get some rest. The only way you get some rest, you got to sweep them. And hope that the other team you playing go 7 games. But yeah, this in-season cup thing, yeah, we won the cup. Yeah, because you ain't gonna win no chip. That's why you're not gonna win one. You won the cup during the middle of the season. Man, these make-believe, that's not even real. What is that? That's what is a cup? You can drink out of it. Man, stop that nonsense, man.
Marvin.
Yeah, I'm with Ben. I mean, to me, the NBA is top heavy. Now, it's a tournament. Anybody has a shot. You got to win it. You can't just win a game on paper. But when you're talking about the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th seed, what are we really talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a damn how you want to mix it up, cut it, slice it. They're gonna be out anyway, right? So it's this is just what you get when it's not football season. We got to create more narrative. No, you got a microscope on everything just because this is how we live it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's so irrelevant. I mean, Steve, I understand your point. Great topic for discussion, but at the same time, it's kind of like, what are we talking about? We know who the killers in the West. We know who the killers in the East. And it ain't nobody in the bottom of them standings. So that's it.
Mag, your thoughts on this one? Do you enjoy the playing or no?
I don't. So I recently started an NFL radio show here in the UK, and a lot of my issue, it's the first one of its kind, and a lot of my issues are that my listeners are UK based, right? They don't understand football necessarily, all of them. They certainly don't understand the NBA. I'm having to go back, strip back, and explain how the draft works. I'm having to explain how football works weekly. I'm getting questions coming through, right? Now, I got asked if I would set up an NBA radio show, and I said, oh, hell no. There is no way that I am going to waste another 2 hours of my week going to. I just want to talk football, man. I just want to talk about the actual game. And then to add basketball and have to explain play-ins and why X and Y are how it blows my. I mean, I understand it, but it took me a while. Can you imagine us overseas people here who we've already got the complexity of soccer leagues and promotion and demotion and all? Come on. Absolutely not. Unnecessary.
All right. Last one is for my 2 Atlanta fans down there, right? Me and Ben talked on this last week. You got Angel Reese is there in Atlanta. If you're getting up a nickname for Angel Reese and Brittany Griner, what nickname are you gonna give them to?
Hold on.
I'm gonna start off with Ben on this one because I love to torture Ben.
You're asking for us to come up with a nickname?
Yeah, I'm forcing him to come up with a nickname for Brittany Griner and Angel Reese.
Let's see. Hold on. Because I mean, I forgot that
Brittany Griner was in Atlanta.
Oh man, I mean, what the Reese's Big Cup? You know what I'm saying? She you got the big Griner, you got the Reese's. I'm gonna come up with something because I forgot that Brittany Griner was gonna be that, be with the dream. She ain't what she used to be, but she's still 6'8". She still is a rim protector. I will, Griner and Reese. I don't know, man. Reese Cup, y'all got to help me. You know what I'm saying? But man, I will have to come up with something because. Like I say,
we'll revisit this one in a few months for you, Ben.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna definitely have one. As my daughter, she's my hooper, and in her mind, she like, Daddy, if I was 6, she said, Daddy, if I was tall as you, I'm coming down the lane on. My daughter, she ain't tall, you like 5'5", but Griner and Reese, hey man, the best. And you know what? We were talking about the best nicknames or whatever. You know the best in football, the best nickname that goes under when Demaryius Thomas and Decker played, they called themselves Black and Decker. That's what they called it when they was in Denver. I said that is beautiful, like that, and that was good. You got to be good to have a nickname now. I don't want to hear no nickname, but I will come up with one for Angel Reese and Griner. You know what I'm saying? Brittany Griner, man, she that cut her hair, man. She ain't dunking no more, though. You know what I'm saying? She ain't like her days of Baylor to go to dread break out. Now, she just, people pushing on her, mushing on her. They don't even scared of no more. But now I will definitely come up with a nickname for Griner and
what about you, Meg? You taking a stab at a nickname for Brittany and Angel?
I mean, do you guys? I don't know if you guys get the same chocolate bars as we do over there, but there is a bar called a Reisner bar, and it's Reisner.
Okay.
I mean, it's a stab in the dark because I'm on the spot. But I will think. I'll have a think and I'll.
Oh, they already got one. They already got one. They called. They I think they're gonna be called because Angel Reese calls herself Barbie, like a Barbie doll, whatever. And then they called her Bayou and she went to LSU. They called her Bayou Barbie and the Beast. So it's Bayou Barbie and the Beast. So yeah, I mean it'll grow on me. Okay. I don't know why Brittany Griner want to call herself. She probably was a beast before, but I don't know. But yeah, Bayou Barbie and the Beast.
Okay,
we'll see. That's not what I'm gonna call them. I'm gonna give them one. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I do stuff like what did I call Sean Merriman's son, man? Bright Lights.
Bright Lights, yeah.
Bright Lights Merriman, because the day the lights out, I ain't gonna be out there. So let's go Bayou Barbie. Let's go Beast. No. Your name is Brittany. Okay, I'm not gonna call you Beast. I'm gonna come up with something else. Just I don't know what it is yet. I mean, think about it. A woman walks out there 6'8", and you go, "What's your name?" She goes, "Brittany," because she got a deep voice. I'm like deep as hell, like Brittany. I might have to call her Beast.
Oh man! All right. Well, as we wrap this one up, I'll always go around the horn for everyone. Meg, you wanna let everyone know where they could find you, find your content, shoot out your social sites, all that stuff. The time is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I'm ballers_Meg on pretty much every platform. You can listen into my NFL radio show weekly on a Monday, southern-roots.co.uk. Or for all other adventures, it's at the Sporty Cowgirl.
How did that 24-hour thon that you did go?
The 24-hour live radio show.
Yeah,
It was insane. I ended up being the last person standing. I was the only one that did the full 24 hours. And I couldn't speak for about 3 days afterwards. I was like, I have nothing left to say.
Wow. Well, talking for a whole day, that takes it out of you. So, Meg, appreciate your time today. As always, you're always welcome. If there's something you want to talk about with us, you can always hop on with us and shoot the breeze with us. Marvin, anything you got going on this week that you want to share with people? Last parting thoughts, all that good stuff.
Yeah. You can catch me on social media, Marvin Powell III, Marvin on the mic. I write for roundtable.com. I'm with Locked On USC twice a week, and I'm also on USC Jay's show often. So, yeah, I'm not hard to find, and just enjoy my time here on The Fan.
I don't know if you've seen this earlier. I wanted to throw it back up for you.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
People's champ.
I'll take it. All
right, Ben. Final thoughts as we wrap this one up, brother.
Listen, man, I just got one thing to say. Marvin Powell for the Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you.
As always, it's always a pleasure, chopping it up with everyone. Another fun episode in the books.
Nice to meet you, Meg.
Yeah, you too.
So again, Meg, if you ever want to reach out to these guys,
I want to come on here and be like, hello. I can't do it. I wish I could do it. Like, I want that Idris Elba. Idris, you get on Idris. I love you, but you get on my nerves. I mean, I can't talk to you. Nobody looks like him. I want to come on like, what will you be having? I will be having the. I can't do it. But I'm working. I can't do it. I ain't gonna act like
yeah, don't. If you ever want to have any of these two gentlemen on, just reach out. We can always work out something to accommodate. Make sure we can cross promote as we always do, Meg. You know how I do.
I'm gonna get your address, Meg, and send you some flowers. You shouldn't have to root for that much misery down over the pond. You root for the 5. That's rough, man. So I'm gonna have to send you something, man. That's rough. That's kind of rough.
But other than that, episode 69 here in the books. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, QR codes are up there. Please like, subscribe, share, show us love here on the South Florida Tribune. Other than that, I'm Steve. That's Marvin. That's Ben. That's Meg. This was another episode of The Fan in the End. We'll catch you on the rebounds, my friends. Peace out.